Do you enjoy the idea of taking your favorite characters from comic books, anime, games, manga, and bringing them together, joining them in harmony to create something beautiful and interesting in a gaming situation? Well, if you do, then you've come to the right place, my friend. Welcome to The Cross Zone. Hello there, and welcome to episode 4 of The Cross Zone, Tricks and Tags. Thank you very much for giving me your time and lending your ear to listen and hear the idea that merges two very unique and awesome worlds together into a very fun, at least I hope it would be fun, gaming experience. That is the combination of the worlds of Jet Set Radio and the world of Air Gear. So I personally am a fan of both. I've enjoyed both since I've known about each of them. Jet Set Radio, I played back on the Dreamcast, or Jet Grind Radio as it was called here in the US. I never understood why that name was changed, but whatever. I enjoyed it. Air Gear, I think I came across Air Gear like 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm glad I got to sit down and actually dig into the manga. I mean, I saw the anime first, and then I ended up getting into the manga, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. Now, there are a few similarities. I'll point out the obvious ones. The characters in Air Gear and in Jet Set Radio utilize specially modified versions of inline skates, which for some reason they each happen to only have 2 wheels per foot. I really don't know why that is, but the wheels are big enough and strong enough to support the human body, so hey, whatever. At least that's general for most characters. I don't think that it's not like that for everyone, but for most characters, that's what it is. 2 wheels per skate. They both do obviously high flying maneuvers off of the scenery and things like that. The Rudies of Jet Set Radio, and I don't even know if they have a specialized name for the characters in Air Gear. I don't remember what the name was. I think they do have it, but they all get chased by specialized police task force that are set out to get them and capture them and stop them from doing what they do. And I mean, this might just be my own perception, but from what I've seen of each of the series is that they are really about freedom of expression and creation, or freedom of ideas and thought. So I don't think that it would be a bad thing to combine the two. Now, the differences, I'll point out the obvious ones. Air Gear, the word trick has 2 meanings. You could do like a rail grind and jump off of a wall, skate across the wall and jump off of the wall and do a flip in the air, and that would be considered a trick. But also, tricks are used as fighting maneuvers. An example, the lead character Iki can kind of conjure up and control the wind at will, and he can use it in a way to, I guess you'd say, rebuke people. So, which is kind of interesting, and I'd see that as a cool dynamic to add and give to the Jet Set Radio characters. That'd kind of be interesting. In Jet Set Radio, they tag things with spray paint, which is not something I really recall seeing happening in Air Gear. And if it did, it was only like one instance of somebody doing it. It wasn't a constant thing, so it'd be an interesting thing to to have those characters have to do, like where they're spray painting up their emblems and logos all over the place. I mean, the Jet Set Radio characters do it. I'm pretty sure that the Air Gear characters could do it without a problem. But what the Air Gear characters do have for tagging are specialized emblems that they carry, and they use their emblems to tag and challenge each other. So what I would do, personally, I could see the printed tags that the Air Gear characters use as being like this, like say you have a challenge where you have to tag people from the opposite team, and you have to tag their backs with your emblem. That makes sense, unlike in Jet Set Radio where you literally had to tag them with something with spray paint. That kind of, I don't see that working out too well for people's health. That's kind of dangerous. You can make somebody sick. But I can see the emblem smacking being a great alternative to that. So, yeah. But moving on, as far as a game engine will go, I would utilize the engine for Jet Set Radio, and I apologize, I have a bit of allergy problem right now, but I would take the Jet Set Radio engine. I would speed it up, because in its current state it would not do any of the Air Gear characters justice. It really would not do them justice. It's too slow for them. I mean, I imagine that the characters of Jet Set Radio are much faster than what we see them actively doing in the games, but it just isn't up to par to keep up with their speed. It's, like I said, it's just slow. It's not that it's a bad thing, it's just speed it up a little bit, make the Air Gear characters and the Jet Set Radio characters feel like they're basically Sonic on skates, which I guess that would be Shadow the Hedgehog, but I'm not even gonna go there anymore. So I would make them feel quite fast and make sure that all of their maneuvers felt very fluid when they moved and they jumped. I mean, it's not like the engine doesn't do that already, but I'd try to push it a little bit further, is what I'm saying. I'd also add in the ability to use combat tricks from Air Gear, as well as the standardized, I'm going to be a flashy show-off type tricks from basically from Air Gear, Jet Set Radio, Tony Hawk, whatever you're thinking of. I'd add those kinds of tricks into it too. Well, they're already there. You wouldn't need to add them, but I'd make them feel quite a bit more rewarding to land them, and probably try to up the advancement of the movements. Just like in Air Gear, there's like this wall riding trick where a character can literally spin themselves up the side of a building if they have enough momentum. So it's something worth considering. For gameplay, I would put this in an open world city, probably like the size of like a Grand Theft Auto open world, but like in Tokyo, Japan. So you'd have quite a bit of room to run around. And art style, I would probably make this a cell shaded game, because it fits the manga art style basically anyway, and that's kind of how Jet Set Radio already is, so why ruin it? Outside of that, as far as a competition or gameplay, I'd have several different modes alongside like a dedicated story mode, but I'm not going to get to how the story mode would play. I don't necessarily have a story, so don't expect me to give you one. But I do have ideas on how a story mode could work. Now, different modes of play. I would have like turf battles, where you could claim your turf by marking it with spray painting different areas in different places in an area to claim your space. and have like several. Like for this game mode, you would lock off certain areas. Like you use the overall map of the open world for this, but every map based on every layout from this map would be based on the overall world. So if you're playing this game mode and you're playing in like I guess like damn I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, people. Just say you're playing in an inner city area, and this is an area that you can actually go to when you're actually playing the game. Like you're in this vast open area in this game when you're playing the story mode, but in game you'd lock off these sections for your specific match types. Like certain maps would fit for an area tag, like not area tag, but a turf battle type of thing where you're trying to claim your area. Then there'd be areas that would be specialized for tagging individuals, like just called the game tag itself, where you're smacking your emblem on the back of competing players, and whoever has been hit with an emblem is no longer eligible to chase after and attack anyone else. Then I would have like a battle mode where teams could match up against each other, and this happens in Air Gear. So this particular type of battle happens in Air Gear, where you could literally be squared off 5 versus 5 or 6 versus 6 to how many, I mean, up to like maybe 6 versus 6, how many ever people are in your team against however many people are in the opposite team, where you guys could battle the crap out of each other until, hey, one team is down and the other team is up. So just conceptually. Then there'd be the possibility for races where you're not trying to tag each other, but you're literally just racing. In Air Gear, these are called Parts Wars. I didn't even think about that. They're called Parts Wars, and I'd probably keep that name, because at the end of the Parts War, whoever wins would get a certain number of parts from the opposing team. So, something to consider. Also within Air Gear, there are multiple rankings. I think they go from F to A, F being the bottom and A being the top. I don't think there's necessarily an S ranking, but it could be added, so yeah, whatever. But in Air Gear, the Parts Wars are basically set based upon your ranking, in which in this game I would strip that. Like, you could do any type of Parts War for any rank, but you can't, I'd say you couldn't challenge teams that are more than 2 levels above your own rank, or 2 levels below your own rank. So you're not going to have an A tier team challenging an F tier team, or an F tier team challenging an A tier team. B, F can challenge E and D, and D can challenge F, E, obviously D, C, and B. Basically, but if you're understanding where I'm going with this, the higher your ranking is, the higher up you have to challenge, basically. Or I'm losing my track, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm just over explaining at this point. I would like to be able to do something like that. It'd be cool to be able to set it up that way. That way, when matches have to deal with ranking, and they're not for fun. I'm not saying that an F team couldn't race or challenge a team in a much higher ranking in a non-ranked match, but in ranked matches you could not do it. It would not be allowed. Just simply because the higher up your tier goes, the more advanced parts you can get, and it just would not be very fair to the other team if you're challenging them for items within their rank when you way outrank them and there is no chance of skill allowing you to clearly there is no chance of skill really allowing you to take the win on these people because their parts are just that much better. I guess you could say that. It's kind of how it works out in Air Gear. That's why I'm making the point. And there are so many different match types in Air Gear. I have way too long sitting down trying to figure all of them out. So I'll stick with those for now. Damn it! I was thinking I would definitely add the Air Gear type of moves to the characters. And I didn't even think about the specialized skates. In Air Gear, the specialized skates are called Air Treks. And they seem to be far more advanced than the specialized skates that are in Jet Set Radio, because they seem to be far more capable of being adapted to different situations, where you could use literally two completely different types of wheels on an Air Trek, where I don't think that happened in Jet Set Radio with the skates. There's putting together Air Treks, which they're called ATs, which they are the specialized skates of air. It's kind of like putting together a car, and every part is important in some way, and they all have to do with balancing out your Air Treks and figuring out how to increase your speed and maneuverability. And they also there are these specialized parts called Regalia, which are specialized cores that allow for more advanced techniques to be accomplished. So that's why I'm kind of interested in just blending the two. I mean, I like to take the artistic value of Jet Set Radio, where you can create your own tags, street tags and emblems, and draw them out and be able to, paint them on things in the game, and add in the customization of your skates and the different parts that allow for it to be manipulated and made to be better. I mean, that I could sit and go on for hours about that, because it's something of interest to me. I'd really like to see I'd really like to see characters like Iki and Beat get together with their wild personalities and see what they would do around each other. But for a story mode, and as well as just a general game thing, you'd be able to create your own characters. And I know somebody would be like, "Wow, that's well, yes, I could deal with that." That's kind of where I was hoping you would go. Yeah, for the main story of the game, you would have to create your own character, because for the main story of the game, you would be basically an upstart, and you're trying to build your own team, and you would challenge other people. Like, there'd be opportunities to challenge other characters to build your team up. Like, the same thing happens in Jet Set Radio. Like, where you just think about beginning the game, how you have to basically copy and do everything that both Gum and Tab, or I think he's Korn in Japan, or in other regions, I should say. But you get to challenge them, and then if you beat them or you copy them, they join your team. Just like with Slate, Cube, Combo, quite a few other characters. Like, they meet up, like, you meet these characters, and those characters would not be the ones you meet. You meet a whole brand new set of characters. People that are, like, originally created for this storyline, specifically created for this storyline, because they're all upstarts like you. They're all trying to do the same thing you are. When you create your character, you have to come up with your team name, and you'd also have to make your emblem. There'd be a set of stock images for emblems, obviously, and then you'd have the opportunity to actually customize and create your own, which would be fine with me. But in this story mode, teams like the GGs, the Noise Tanks, the Love Shockers, the Koga Asumaru, Sleeping Forest. Gosh, man, there's so many damn teams between Jet Set Radio and Air Gear. But you basically get my point. A lot of these teams, and Genesis, Air Gear, a lot of these teams will be higher up in the tier, like all the ones that are familiar to Jet Set Radio and Air Gear. Those teams will be higher up in tier, so you'd have to, in the game, build your rank up as far as the story goes, build your rank higher and higher to actually run into those familiar characters, which I actually think that's actually a pretty cool idea. And I'd like to see like the GGs and Koga Asumaru, basically the two top ranked teams, with everybody else in a descending order, falling below that. And you run into versions of the characters specified for this particular universe. Like you come across that world's Iki, you come across that world's Beat, or Combo, Bucha, Nike, Sora, Gum, Tab, I said Combo already, Cube. I'm going with the names that immediately pop into my head, but you get my point. You'd run into the versions of those characters made for this particular world once you got to the higher ranks. Everybody I'd say who's below like a D rank and below would basically be mostly original characters and new characters for this particular game. And once you got to the C tier and going upward in the storyline, you run into those characters that are already known, and yeah, have to take them on, and maybe actually earn a couple of them as teammates if you play far enough in. And it wouldn't be something you'd have to do at that point. It'd be optional to kind of have the legendary characters, I guess you could say, you'd be a part of your team, but that would really be up to the player and the freedom of choice in the storyline. I mean, it's kind of a theme for both of them, freedom, basically. So, yeah, I would do that. There's not really much more I can really add to this when I think about it. I mean, like I said, just be a really cool idea to see and hear, and I'm quite interested in how it could work. I mean, I've already given the basic blueprint for how to do it. I could sit down and take the time out and figure out how this could literally be done, and I'm probably going to eventually. But I really think that's it. I know I jabbered on quite a bit. It was because I'm it's one of those ideas I get kind of excited about, and I lose my way in my words, and I get all incoherent, so I can't really help that. But thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed the thought and the idea that I presented. Again, thank you very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more of my stuff, and until the next time, enjoy your games, and hopefully you'll also enjoy the next episode of Cross Zone. So, peace out.